Hi folks, and welcome to another video from Peacock Archery. I'm Philip Watson, and today we're taking a look at fletching with plastic vanes. Okay, so here we are all set up and ready to go. I've got my fletching jig. This one is a particularly good one. I will do a video showing how to set these up. Can be a little bit fiddly, but once you've got it set, then they're really very robust, easy to use. And very long-lived and not very expensive. So, as happens to all of us from time to time, we've lost a fletching, and if that happens while you're out shooting, then it's actually better to remove it rather than having it flapping about in the breeze, because having it flapping around will cause more problems than not. So we've taken this off. What I'm going to do is just find a Stanley knife in my tackle box. All I'm going to do here, very gently, just going to use a Stanley knife just to remove any excess glue that might be there. Taking care not to scratch the anodizing on this aluminium arrow. Goes back into the jig. If I was doing this for the first time and it's not been fletched before, what I'd almost certainly do is get some isopropyl alcohol or some pure acetone. Don't be tempted to use something like nail varnish remover, because it has a whole bunch of other chemicals in there to help soften your nails. So don't use nail varnish remover, but pure acetone is best. And I've set it on my jig. I've actually marked where the cock fletching goes with a little mark and a C, so that I make sure that I get my fletchings the right way around. So there it is in the cock fletching position, but it's the next one round, it's this one that needs repairing. And I've got mine set up so that it will fletch 3 fletchings. This jig will do 3 and 4, or 3 or 4, depending on how you set it up. So I've taken the precaution of getting rid of the detents for the 4-way, so it'll only do 3. Here's my fletchings. First things first, I need to know whereabouts it needs to go. So here's the clamp. I'm just going to put the clamp on here, take a look, and actually it's set just underneath 1 centimetre. So take the clamp off. Get the fletching, I'm going to slide it into the clamp and line it up so that the bottom of it is just on the mark, just underneath 1 centimetre. And then I've got some just plain, straightforward super glue, some cyanacrylate. Works great. Don't need anything fancy. You can buy fancy fletching glues. And they've got gels in and accelerators and all sorts of other things, but I find just straightforward liquid super glue is absolutely fine. And all I'm going to do, once I get that, I'm just literally going to wet the back of the fletching. So I'm not going to put too much on, literally just enough to wet it. Probably difficult to see that in the light. Don't want too much on there. The fletchings come with an accelerator already on them. Then all I'm going to do is line it up, make sure that the nock is seated well into the receiver, and then place it down onto the arrow. And then I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to leave it there for about 15-20 seconds, there or thereabouts. If you're doing lots of them, if you've got access to a second jig, that one can be going off while you're setting up the next one. You can alternate between them. In shops you'll often see they'll have 12 or maybe even more than that on a kind of lazy Susan rotating turntable, and they'll just do one, move it around, do the next one, move it around. We don't have that luxury, so that's probably enough. Here comes the interesting part, the bit that you've got to pay a little bit more attention to. So I'm going to hold the arrow, I'm going to pinch the clamp, and then I'm going to use this as a lever to pull the clamp away. But I've got to make sure that I'm pinching this down all the time, because otherwise there's a likelihood for me to tear the fletching off the arrow. So holding it tightly, pinch, lever it off, clamp comes out of the way, and there's our fletching done. Now, as a precaution, mostly because it tends to be the leading edge that gets the worst of the hard use, I'm just going to put a little dob of glue just on that front edge, just to help secure that there. Then put my arrow in my little stand, and that's it, we're done. So that's all there is to it. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon.